Sup, Rotten? I have a question for you. What is an iPad? No, really. Just think about it. And I feel like that thought is pretty common. Cause why else would Apple have a whole page dedicated to answering that very question? They know you don't know. I feel like the iPad is kind of having an identity crisis right now. Actually, they've been having it for quite a bit, if we're being honest. And that's not only because of the compatible mess that are the Apple Pencils. Feel free to check out my last video if you want to get triggered by that yourself. But I get it. When the iPad was first introduced, it was intended for you to get things done if you didn't want to deal with the cumbersome nature of laptops and the small screen real estate of phones. But now, phone screens are twice the size and laptops are twice as light and way less bulky. So where does that leave the iPad? Well, let's take a look. Where are they now, type beat? The current iPad Pro is the only Apple product with their latest chip that currently has the fastest neural engine Apple has ever released. Can we even comprehend what the hell 38 trillion operations even mean? Like, as a concept. And to think you have all of that power in your hands and all you're gonna do with it is do the very casual things you always do, like browse the web and watch videos. And who can blame you? Because what else can you really do on a device that runs iPad OS? Putting the M4 chip in a device that runs iPad OS is like putting a V12 engine on a tricycle. At the end of the day, that thing can only do so much. But think of the possibilities that aren't gonna happen ever. And look, the iPad is finally getting a calculator app. And if any of you seen my first video, you should know that I'm actually excited about that. That's how depraved we are. And let's be honest here. The iPad just does everything a MacBook can do, just worse. Oh, don't give me that. I'm just saying what we're all thinking, but I can't blame the iPad. It's the awkward middle child by design. Apple will only do so much for it as long as it doesn't step on the toes of the MacBook, and vice versa. And that is the reason why we will never have a touchscreen MacBook or a true laptop replacement like Apple wants you to believe. This thing is a laptop alternative at best, not a replacement. It doesn't even replace the price, which is no less than an actual MacBook, especially when you account for the peripherals. Why is a Magic Keyboard that much, brother? Ain't nothing magic about that. The only thing magic about it is making the money in your wallet disappear. Now, don't sit here and pretend like the slim form factor of the M4 iPad Pro isn't appealing. I mean, who could look at xCool's ultra slim magnetic wireless power bank and wouldn't think it looked pretty sleek? I know it's hard to picture it at first glance, but this little power bank brings 5,000 milliamp hours of wireless charge straight to your iPhone with only a magnetic snap. Just that simple and you're ready to go. With its thin and light build, it's super portable and capable of supporting any iPhone with MagSafe support, no problem. It has a strong magnetic lock, and it even comes with a kickstand where you can perch your iPhone up at an ideal viewing angle and enjoy up to 19 hours of extended video playtime, ensuring reliable battery backup when you need it most. And when you're done, it's small and slim enough to just throw in your pocket with no worries about it falling out. It's great to be able to charge your phone wirelessly and have it not be an eyesore. So if this interests you, feel free to check out the ultra slim magnetic wireless power bank discounted in the description below, and thanks to xCool for sponsoring this video. Now if you ask me, I feel like the lineup itself needs a bit of a refresh. We currently have 4 different iPads for some reason, so let's break it down. We have the appropriately named iPad, which is considered the budget-friendly iPad with cooties. It is the one that is a few years behind all of Apple's more expensive products in terms of technology and design, meant for people who want to get into drawing without breaking the bank, schools who probably want to buy these in bulk for students' creativity and note-taking purposes, and parents who are looking for an around-the-clock babysitter without having to put an actual person on payroll. And you know what? I get it. I'm glad the budget iPad exists. It's treated how Apple treats their iPhone SE, which is fine. Still, a very powerful and capable device that gets people who don't believe in spending that much into the ecosystem. Now, this may sound a bit confusing, considering that the SE is basically the small iPhone and the iPad mini is the small iPad. However, the iPad mini, though smaller than the original iPad, should be more comparable to the iPhone mini, which is like the iPhone SE, but without the compromises on design and power. Unless it's like the battery, which is just flat out worse because it has to be. It's smaller for less room for a bigger battery, so that much can't be helped. But it's for people who want a device bigger than the iPhone, but smaller than the average iPad. And as dumb as that sounds, I cannot lie. The iPad mini is probably one of Apple's best ideas. I only say this because I have one and there is no other device that exists that is better to read books and manga on, and I'll proudly die on that hill. Now this is where things get a little dicey, especially now with the new iPad releases. Let's start with the iPad Air. The point of the iPad Air is if you're looking for more capability than the iPad, but something less expensive than the Pro. And if you ask me, that's pretty dumb. The whole Air concept meant that the product was also supposed to be thinner and lighter than the rest of the lineup. But come to find out, the iPad Pro is both lighter and thinner than the iPad Air. So what's the point? It brings nothing to the table that the iPad or iPad Pro couldn't do to some extent or better, and its whole shtick got completely stolen by the iPad Pro anyway. It's almost as if the iPad Pro needed a wow factor to overcompensate for its lack of features other than a faster chip. So they stole the iPad Air's identity just to do that. And speaking of, that brings me to the overpowered new M4 iPad Pro, claimed by Apple to be the thinnest product they have ever made, comparing it to their iPad Nano. But this is a bit of false advertising if you ask me. Wake me up when they compare it to their actual thinnest product sold, their very own polishing cloth. And in case you're wondering, no, I didn't just buy the Apple polishing cloth just for this bit. Side note, do you think they bought the iPad Nano off of eBay? There's no way they just had that thing lying around. Now it's cool and all that the new iPad Pro is thin and stuff, but why? Who asked for this? It's an iPad Pro. I think anybody would have preferred a thicker frame for the durability and to fit a bigger battery. Double the battery life of the iPad Pro would have sounded way better than a thinner one, right? Like, am I crazy here? So if you ask me, I would just get rid of the iPad Air and make the smaller iPad Pro cheaper. Again, these are all running iPad OS, so getting a previous generation would be more than enough anyway. See how cleaner this looks? An iPad that's budget friendly, a more travel friendly iPad for readers and note takers, and the big boy iPad with no compromises. Simple. I think the lineup needs some order, so drop the Air. Take my advice, Apple. Free of charge. All in all, I'm not mad at the iPad for existing, nor do I think it's a bad thing that it's basically a MacBook Lite. Watching media on this thing is truly unmatched, and let's not forget that it is indeed perfect for drawing and note-taking too. I just think we all have to accept that the iPad will never truly reach its potential, and be able to live with that. There's nothing wrong with being the middle child. I'm sure some of you are. Right? Just don't go out rushing to buy a new one when the old one can browse the internet and stream content to you just fine. Because the iPad is not what needs improving, it's iPad OS. But hey, that's just my rotten opinion. What's yours? Leave it in the comments below. And shout out to my Rotten Pro patrons, Vasco and France Quebec, for supporting me on Patreon. Supporting links will be provided in the description below. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see more of me, you know what to do. Honestly, if you ask me, I don't think iPads need to be updated for quite a bit. I still think slapping a V10 engine on a tricycle is still one of the wildest things they could have done. And that thing is super thin. When you're drawing, just don't press on it too much. I'm a little uncomfortable.